decision, I had this awareness for a while, and I understood it logically. Just like you guys are understanding the words that are coming out of my mouth. It's like, oh yeah, that's kind of, I understand that. But for some reason I couldn't just go from, okay, yeah, I got it, to applying it into my life. It was like, a month would go by and then I'd be like, oh yeah, this could be a time that I could have used that. And that's how I kind of look at the progress. I know for myself, what happens is that I'll get an idea and then I'll find a scenario in life, and then after the scenario took place, I'd be like, oh, that's an example of it. And then eventually it kind of got to like where I was in the middle of it. I'm like, oh, wait a minute, it's happening right now. Now I can make a different choice. I already kind of screwed up, but now I can make a different choice now. And then it eventually got to right when I went to react, I had it click. And I made a different choice instead of going into the reaction. And the first time I became really aware of it, I was, my husband and I were making like a pizza at home, and he came walking into the kitchen right when I went to cut it. So I'm getting ready to cut the pizza, and my husband comes over my shoulder. This is a great example too. My husband comes over the shoulder, and granted, I can't even see his face. What I hear come out of his mouth is, "What are you cutting it like that for?" So I'm mid-cut, and I hear, "What are you cutting it like that for?" And I stop, and I took a deep breath, and it was the best thing I could have done for myself, because as I was exhaling, stopping myself from turning around and like cutting his head off with the pizza slicer, my mind immediately went to, he thinks I cannot do anything right. He questions everything that I do. How the heck does he think I'm going to cut the pizza? If he thinks that he can cut the pizza better, why doesn't he just do it himself? Since he's the pizza cutting master and pizza cutting police. That's where my mind went when my husband asked me, why are you cutting the pizza that way? Can you relate to what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
And it's like a split second. And like all these stories came up to where my mind's like, danger, 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 you're under attack. So I had to start, along with this awareness, I had picked up some tools and techniques to be able to apply it. So one of the tools that really serves me and that I use all the time whenever this kind of thing pops up is I get to the truth of the situation. I heard the words that came out of his mouth, but I don't know what else is going on up in his head to make him ask the question. So what do I know to be true about the situation? What I know to be true about the situation is that he's my husband, and he's committed to spending the rest of his life with me. He loves me. He loves me. Regardless of what he says. I mean, even if you think about these people that like kind of push your buttons, especially the people that we're really close to, the husbands, the wives, the girlfriends, boyfriends, the kids, the parents, the grandparents, that close inner circle that you have, even though they push your buttons, at your core level, you love them and they love you.
Now, are you talking about the actual words or the tone?
Well, see, that's pretty interesting, because the words are words. The tone could be implied if someone's trying to hint at something without being direct, or the tone could be this old energy from a situation that you're upset about, and then you don't realize that you still have that energy, and then you go to answer somebody's question and that energy is still attached to those words, and even though you might not be aware of it, or the other person might not be aware of it, that energy stays attached to those words, and then that person receives that energy and they think, why are they mad at me? So it's a very good point, because tone is a matter of perception. The words are all that I have to go on. That's all that I really know is the words. The tone or the implication or the reason behind it or the why, I don't know unless I ask him, or if I ask the other person that I'm dealing with. So since I don't know what that tone of voice was meaning, where that question came from, what provoked that question, why is he questioning me? It's just pizza. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm thinking. Since I don't know the motivation behind it, then I have to get to what I know to be true, or I have to be confident and sure enough and secure enough to turn and say, why would you ask a question like that? You know what I mean? To find out what it is. I would have to be brave enough, and this is what I do now, to turn and say, wow, when you said that, I took it in a very negative way, and I know that you wouldn't want me to take it in a negative way, so where's that coming from? You know what I mean? And maybe that's exactly where I'll go after I finish this example. So I get to what I know to be true. And what I know to be true is that my husband loves me. He would not have married me, you know, because that's what the brain wants. The brain wants facts, figures, statistics, pie graphs, charts, playbacks from previous episodes of the same kind of scenario so that it can be prepared and it can keep you safe. So that's why our mind predicts and makes up, well, he must meant this because I heard his tone as then he must be thinking that I'm stupid and idiot, whatever. Because in my past, when I've heard that tone of voice come out of somebody's mouth, whoever it was, that's what it ultimately led to. Or that's how I felt about myself, whatever. It was an association that I made. So I get down to the truth of the situation, and I know at the truth level, my husband loves me. That's a fact. My brain accepts that. Yes, okay, that's true. So we got some evidence here. We're building a case. The mind's always building a case. Always. I think that's why we're such a litigious society anyway. The mind's always building a case. So, okay, I can accept the fact and I can believe that it's true that my husband loves me. So if he loves me, what do I know to be true about that? If he loves me, he thinks that I'm really great. He thinks that I'm wonderful. He thinks that I'm smart. He thinks that I'm capable. Like, he knows this stuff about me. Right? I mean, you understand where I'm going with this? So if I know that he loves me, I know he thinks I'm smart, I know he thinks I'm amazing, I know he thinks I'm capable, I know he thinks that I'm phenomenal. Why in the world would he think I was unable to cut pizza or cut pizza incorrectly? Why?
Maybe he was looking at it as a new technique.
Possibly. I mean, exactly. So since my husband knows that I'm wonderful and he knows that I'm capable, he knows that I'm smart, why would he think that I'm incompetent and can't cut a pizza? He wouldn't. He wouldn't. All this went through my head. Now, it's taken me minutes to explain it to you, but within probably about 5, 10 seconds, 15 seconds, it was a considerable pause. Because again, this is my first time catching myself. I'm breathing through it. You know? So what do I know to be true? I know that he loves me. I know he thinks that I'm smart. So if he loves me and he thinks that I'm smart, why would he be questioning my abilities? He wouldn't.
I'm dying to find out the punchline.
So, if he wouldn't, then maybe he just wants to know why I'm cutting the pizza that way. Maybe he just wants to know why I'm cutting pizza that way. Maybe he's not questioning my abilities. Maybe he doesn't think that I'm stupid. Maybe none of that, all that stuff that my mind made up.
Maybe he didn't have anything better to say.
Maybe he was just trying to connect with his wife. Maybe he was just trying to start a conversation, you know? Or maybe he was just trying to learn a new technique.
Yeah.
So,
Especially if you've been cutting it the other way the whole time.
I don't even know how else, that's my mind was so confused because how else would you cut a pizza? And that's a good example too because that, from my common sense, from my perspective, how else could I cut the pizza? Expecting